The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
Members Maria del Carmen Arroyo, Fernando Cabrera, Andrew Cohen, Vanessa L. Gibson, Andy King, Annabelle Palma, Richie Torres, and James Vaca. And now please welcome your new Speaker of the New York City Council, Melissa Mark Viverito. And please give a big round of applause for your Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz, Jr. Please welcome to the podium your host and MC for this evening, Deputy Borough President Aurelia Green.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year, everyone. May this be a prosperous and safe new year for us all. And certainly it will be for the Bronx. I'm so glad that we're able to assemble here today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here at the Bronx County Building, the Veterans Memorial Hall, for the inauguration of our one and only Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz, Jr. And the elected officials' launch of the Centennial celebration of Bronx County. I am Deputy Borough President Aurelia Green, and I'm pleased to join all of you here for this wonderful event. Today we celebrate the past 100 years of history of our borough, while also looking ahead to the future of Bronx County. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to welcome some of the dignitaries who have joined us here today. We have with us New York State Controller Thomas DiNapoli, New York City Public Advocate, the one and only Letitia James, New York State Senator Ruben Diaz Sr., New York State Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson, New York State Senator Gustavo Rivera, New York State Senator Adriano Espaillat, Assemblyman and Bronx Democratic County Leader, or Chairman, Carl Heastie, Assemblyman Marcos Crespo, Assemblyman Victor Picardo, Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz, Council Member Mark Weprin, Bronx County Clerk Louis Diaz, New York City Controller Scott Stringer, Bronx Surrogate Court Judge Nalita Malave Gonzalez, Stephen Kaufman, Chairman of the BOEDC, Marlene Cintron, President of BOEDC, DSAS Commissioner Edna Wells Handy, Bronx Parks Commissioner Hector Aponte, Bronx DOT Commissioner Connie Moran, former Manhattan Borough President C. Virginia Fields, former New York City Council Speaker Gifford Miller. And this is going to be hard to say, former Council Member G. Oliver Coppell. NYPD Borough Commander Carlos Gomez. FDNY Borough Commander Kevin Butler. And as others come in, we will be announcing them. I am so glad that we are all here today, and now we can begin our program. Please welcome the chairman of the Bronx Centennial Commission, our 11th borough president, the Honorable Fernando Ferrer.
Thank you very much, Deputy Borough President Green, and good evening. My name is Fernando Ferrer, and I used to work here. It means I know the way, and I know the faces, and the right people are in this room to launch the Bronx's 100th birthday as a county. That's the reason why we're here, and it reminds me of the time, I'd like to think not too long ago, but in observance of the Bronx's Diamond Jubilee, that we convened one of the last meetings of the then Board of Estimate in this very space. But so much has happened in 25 years. And I expect much will happen in the next 25, and that's why I will leave my calendar clear, Mr. Borough President, in case one of our successors is kind enough to invite me to the 125th birthday of Bronx County. All of the very important elected officials and community leaders have been acknowledged, and this really is not only the launching of our 100th birthday party as a county, but also in observance of the first one, when a young reform-minded mayor named John Peroy Mitchell came to this place and helped us launch, well, not exactly this place, but he was born in the Bronx. There's some striking similarities with our present mayor. He wasn't as tall, but he was reform-minded and remembered where the Bronx was and came by to help us celebrate. It's an important reenactment of that 100th birthday party that we do this oath-taking together as we did 100 years ago. Because it's not only a private matter to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and the Charter, but it is a very public matter. It's something we share with the community. It's not only something we ask you to witness, it's something we ask the community to participate in, to hold us accountable to, and to work with us to achieve. It's not only an oath we swear, but a promise we make to our neighbors to make things better and to leave things better in the Bronx than we found them. And I have no doubt that as they take their oath, some re-elected and some newly elected, that they will take that seriously to heart. And it's also a day for celebration. That's the reason why we're here. Some of you might remember one of my favorite movies that took place in the Bronx called Awakenings, made by Bronx people. Robert De Niro was in that one too. And there's a scene that struck me and still stays in my mind after having awakened from a decades-long coma, a sleep, a deep sleep. He's walking around with a group on Fordham Road near the old Alexanders. And he looks around and says one line, "What a lovely place the Bronx has become." That was true in that movie. That's even truer today. So whether you know this place as the Borough of Progress, or the Borough of Parks, the Borough of Universities, the home of hip-hop, El Condado de la Salsa, or for our friends in Paris, La Belle Bronx. It is always the Bronx beautiful, the place where we were born and raised, the place where we bring up our children and our families. We give them big dreams. The place where generations before us came to make lives for themselves and to pass those dreams on to their children and grandchildren. The place whose first language isn't even spoken today. It was native to this land. Its second language was Dutch. Its third language was English. Its fourth language, Spanish. And the beat goes on. It speaks many languages today, but it speaks many languages saying the same word, welcome. We are the borough of parks and universities, but we are the borough of big dreams and strivers as well. Happy 100th birthday, Bronx.
Thank you for those inspiring remarks, Borough President Farrar. Now to honor America, please welcome the color guard of the New York City Police Department, who will present our flags. Please rise. The singing of our national anthem, performed by soloist Leslie Swanson and accompanied by Michael Spearman of the Bronx Opera Company.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you so much. The guard may retreat. I don't know what else to say. Now for our benediction, please welcome Reverend Martha Overall, the pastor of St. Anne's Episcopal Church, the first church of the Bronx, whose roots can be traced back to the legendary Morris family.
Let let us begin this 100th anniversary by revising the words of the poet to say, the Bronx, yes, thanks. But before, let us ask God's blessing on our borough and on our borough president. Pedimos la bendición de Dios sobre nuestro borough y nuestro presidente del borough. O God of our many understandings, we give you thanks for 100 years of history and soul in your great borough of the Bronx. Oh Dios de nuestros muchos entendimientos, te damos gracias por cientos años de la historia y la alma en tu borough grande del Bronx. And we pray that you will bless us, y pedimos que nos bendecirá, with pride in all that we are and all that we are yet to become, recognizing the blessings that you, God, have given us. Con orgullo en todo lo que somos y todo lo que estamos todavía a llegar a ser, reconociendo todas las bendiciones que tu Dios nos ha dado. With love for one another in all our glorious diversity, and most especially for the vulnerable among us, remembering that in every religion, God judges us by how we care for the neediest. Con amor el uno al otro en toda nuestra diversidad gloriosa, y especialmente para los vulnerables entre nosotros, recordando que en cada religión Dios nos juzga por cómo cuidamos de los más necesitados. And with the glory that is only yours to bestow, y con la gloria que es solo la tuya para otorgar. And God, we give you thanks for your son Ruben Jr. Y Dios, te damos gracias por tu hijo Ruben, as he continues as our borough president, mientras él continúa como nuestro presidente del Bronx. Give him impatience with the obstacles that hold our people back, and the strength, with the help of a new city administration, to get rid of those obstacles. Dale impaciencia con los obstáculos del progreso de nuestro pueblo y la fuerza con la ayuda de una nueva administración de la ciudad para deshacerse de esos obstáculos. Give him wisdom beyond his years and continued compassion to bring people together, understanding that in our diversity we are stronger and more beautiful. Dale sabiduría más allá de sus años y continúa compasión para reunir las personas, entendiendo que en nuestra diversidad somos más fuerte y más bella. And give him continued inspiration to lead your people, and especially your youth, into a better and still better future. Dale inspiración para guiar tu pueblo, y especialmente tus jóvenes, a un futuro mejor y aún mejor. Hold him and his family in the palm of your hand, that he might do the work that we have chosen him to do. Sosténelo y su familia en la palma de tu mano, para que podría hacer el trabajo que hemos elegido para hacer. In your holy name we pray, and tu santo nombre pedimos. Amén.
Thank you, Pastor. Overall, that was beautiful. Please be seated. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our newly elected mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio.
I'm going to ask the Deputy Borough President to go with me all over the 5 boroughs and give the introduction. She's got spirit. I am so honored to be here in the Bronx for this extraordinary occasion. I want to, of course, thank a man who has such love for this borough, and he puts his heart and soul into his work every day, your Borough President, Ruben Diaz, Jr. Now, where are the other borough presidents? Borough presidents? What am I missing? Where are the other borough presidents? There, okay. I want to thank Scott Stringer, our comptroller. I want to thank Gail Brewer, Borough President of Manhattan, and Eric Adams, Borough President of Brooklyn, all of them here to acknowledge this wonderful occasion. All the members of the City Council are here. I want to thank them for their wonderful work. And a special thank you to a man I've had the honor of working with over the years, who also personified the Bronx in his work, and I believe is now the chair of the Centennial Committee, correct? Let's thank Freddie Ferrer for his extraordinary work. Now, good things are happening in the Bronx. And if you didn't know it, Ruben Diaz Jr. would tell you it repeatedly. He's even taught me to do that thing with the whole, right? Okay? Okay? Yeah. He's taught me. This afternoon, I was at the Bronx School of Young Leaders in Morris Heights, which is an extraordinary place. And if you haven't visited, it's worth a visit, because you will see what's good about this borough and what's good about this city and what's working in our schools and how bright the future of this city is if we support our children and give them opportunity. And part of what makes the Bronx so extraordinary is that every kind of people live here from every part of the world. And with that, I want to say at the beginning, congratulations to everyone who is a part of this event, who's a part of making the Bronx great every single day. I say felicidades a todos, y feliz año nuevo a todos en el condado de Bronx. And this is going to be a memorable year in the Bronx, and a special year. Bigger even than 2013. Now, as everyone in this audience knows, 2013 was the 40th anniversary of the birth of hip-hop at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. One of the great moments in American history. Isn't that true, Mr. President? And this year, 100 years of the Bronx as a borough. I have to tell you, every time I've had the honor to learn about the history, to learn how many great Bronxites contributed to the history of this city and this country, and to see how much the credit has still not been given, this 100-year anniversary is a time to take stock of those great achievements of all the people who contributed and remind people what the Bronx has always meant to this city. And tonight, the Bronx is being honored in a special way. The lights on the Empire State Building will be orange, blue, and white in honor of the Bronx flag. Now, I will also say that the Bronx is synonymous to me, and Mr. President, I will not be political. I would never do that. But the Bronx is synonymous to me with progressive values. And when you look, you can clap for that. When you look year after year in this city, where some of the most powerful progressive voices come from, it's the Bronx. When you look, if you happen to peruse election results, as some of us have been known to do from time to time, you look at the extraordinary message you get from the Bronx in terms of the kind of values that we need to make this a city that's more fair and equitable for all. The Bronx sends that message regularly. and it's unmistakable, and I feel a special appreciation to the people of the Bronx for having supported with great energy the progressive agenda that I put forward last year and that we start on now. I want to tell you that it is an honor to be here with our newly elected Speaker of the City Council, Melissa Mark Viverito. And I have said she is a true progressive and someone who is going to make sure that the neighborhoods of the Bronx are served, and that's in part because she represents a lot of the neighborhoods of the Bronx, so it's personal. The Bronx is blessed in so many ways. All these great leaders up here, and especially with your borough president, and I got to tell you, when I talk about progressive values, I've seen the passion that Ruben Diaz Jr. has when it comes to economic and social fairness, simple matters of fairness. And the fact that he does it in a way that is deeply connected to the grassroots. The borough president may remember that he and I went door to door. Remind me which development it was. Millbrook houses, thank you. We went door to door in Millbrook houses, giving out leaflets, because he went to the grassroots to help people realize that there was a way to get guns off the streets, get guns out of our buildings. He went right to the people with that message, and he has been a stalwart in the efforts to get our society to move away from the endless proliferation of guns. And that's worth a lot. A lot of us up here have spoken out over the last years and asked for fairness in the way that we keep this city safe, and in particular have asked for and we've demanded respect for our young men of color. And a lot of the great energy came from these leaders of the Bronx, in particular the borough president, to prove that we can have safety in this city along with respect and compassion, that real community policing has to be what is the norm again in New York City. And our borough presidents fought for that. And one thing I want to say with particular appreciation, he has really been one of the leaders in this city on the idea that we have to make sure people get a living wage, that we can't see our people fall behind. And even when it wasn't easy, he fought that battle at the Kingsbridge Armory and said, we're not going to let people get jobs that they can't feed a family on. And I want to congratulate the borough president, the members of the council delegation, and so many people in this room who made the Kingsbridge Armory a real victory for this borough. So together from this extraordinary Centennial moment, we're going to continue to bring attention and respect to the Bronx. We're going to continue to bring jobs and economic development. We're going to continue to make the schools better, and it's going to be part of a broader progressive agenda. And an agenda that understands a simple truth, a simple sentence I like to say: all boroughs are created equal. And I'll finish with this. From time to time, you may have heard me talk about something I call the tale of two cities. As Freddie Ferrer once told me, he used that concept before me, and then he went on to tell me everyone else before us who used it, going all the way back to Charles Dickens. Now, I'm in good company. Charles Dickens and Freddie Ferrer, that's pretty good, don't you think? But ending the tale of two cities means doing some very basic things. It means making sure people have a living wage. It means protecting health care at the community level so people can actually access the care they need. It means building new affordable housing. It means creating community policing again. And as you may have heard me say, it means full-day pre-K for every child in this borough, every child in this city. And after-school programs like the one I saw at the School for Young Leaders today that would make you so proud. That's what we're going to fight for. And I have to say that I, as a Brooklynite, have such appreciation for the Bronx. I feel like Every time I've been involved with the Bronx, people have treated me like family, and I'm deeply, deeply appreciative. And I look forward to doing some great work together, taking this Centennial moment and building something great together for the Bronx. And I'll finish with this. Pero también siempre tengo una parte del Bronx en mi corazón. Gracias, buena suerte y que Dios los bendiga. Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I neglected to recognize earlier Assemblyman Louis Sepulveda. Please forgive me, please acknowledge him. And we have been joined by Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. Our next speaker will be another newly elected, in fact, just this week. And we are so delighted to have her here tonight. We have the new Speaker of the New York City Council, the Honorable Melissa Mark Viverito.
Thank you. Gracias. Buenas noches, Bronx. ¿Cómo se encuentran? Well, let me say this is my first public event as a Speaker of the City Council, and how appropriate that it is here in el Condado de la Salsa, in el Condado del Bronx, of which I have the pleasure to represent in my district. I also want to commend, obviously, all my colleagues. I look so forward to working with each and every one of you, and the borough president that has demonstrated such incredible leadership to really advance and promote this borough, the economic development, and it's really highlighting it within the context of the city of New York. I really want to commend his leadership. And there's so many people in this room that I've seen walking in that I want to thank, and also that I see colleagues of mine. I just wanted to say two very special words to two special people in this room, which is Lorraine Cortez Vasquez, which many of you know, who is a personal mentor to me. She was one of my first bosses when I worked at Aspira of New York, and she holds a very special place in my heart. And the former borough president, Fernando Ferrer, who also is a mentor. These are two very special people that are great. So I didn't want to say very many words. I just wanted to be here, express my support. This is a very important, obviously, moment. But I think the message of the mayor with regards to really having us as leaders in this city, whether it's the mayor and now the city council, to really take the time to look and help and promote the boroughs other than Manhattan is very critical. And although I do represent a portion of Manhattan, when you talk of northern Manhattan, there have been many times historically where we have been treated as a borough other than, right? So we want to stop that. We definitely want to have a role in looking at communities across this city that are really in need of our support, of our emphasis and our focus. And so that you have commitment from me here tonight that I will work aggressively with the Bronx delegation under the leadership of Carl Hasty and also the borough president to make sure that we continue to really promote the Bronx so that it can really fulfill its maximum potential. So thank you all very much. Buenas noches a todos, and I look forward to the rest of the program.
Thank you, Speaker, Madam Speaker, I should say. 100 years ago, when Bronx County was first created, this borough hosted a similar event to swear in the new elected officials of our newly created county. Here to discuss the history of the Bronx and the historical Bible we are using this evening, please welcome our Bronx Borough historian, Professor Lloyd Alton.
Thank you. 100 years ago, on January 1st, 1914, the civic, business, and political leaders in the Bronx gathered at the 7-year-old Bronx Borough Courthouse on 161st Street and 3rd Avenue. The monumental structure with its thick granite walls and only one large courtroom was to be the setting for a ceremony of historic significance. When the western half of the modern Bronx was annexed to New York City from Westchester County in 1874, the city officials largely neglected its development. A long fight for some home rule was waged. It resulted in the creation of a commissioner of street improvements, elected by the mainland residents. When the eastern half of today's Bronx was annexed in 1895, the commissioner's jurisdiction was extended to cover it. When the city annexed Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island in 1898, it set up the borough system. The mainland now became the new Borough of the Bronx. The commissioner of street improvements became the model for the new office of borough president. Yet, while Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island were also counties of New York State, the boroughs of the Bronx and Manhattan were united in New York County. That meant that mainlanders had to travel the long distance to downtown Manhattan to sue another person, defend him or herself from criminal action, serve on a jury, probate a will, register a deed, or perform any other legal function. The Bronx Borough Courthouse was erected in 1906 to provide some local court for the convenience of Bronxites, but most people believed it was built to be a future county courthouse. For more than a decade, lawyers, business, civic, and political leaders waged a long fight against Tammany Hall Democrats and upstate Republicans to get the state legislature to establish a Bronx County. Thus, on the first day of 1914, Judge Louis D. Gibbs inducted the newly chosen county officials into office. With this act, Bronx County was underway. Now, 100 years later, we meet in the new Bronx County building, opened in 1934, to once again enact a sacred ritual of our American democracy. Once again, we induct the newly elected leaders of the Bronx into office. With this act, the year-long celebration marking the Centennial of Bronx County begins. And to mark this inaugural, we have a very special Bible upon which the oath is to be taken. This Bible was printed in 1864 and was owned by Charles Coleman Ferris. The Ferris family is one of the first families of the Bronx who have arrived here in the 1660s, and some whose descendants still live today. This Bible cements our past, our present, and our future, and thus we all stay together as Bronxites in a common destiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Alton. That is very good to know our history, for those of us especially who were born and bred here. Right? Right? Okay. And now our Bronx City Council delegation will join Borough President Diaz to be sworn into office on the Ferris Family Bible. To administer the oath is the Honorable Douglas E. McKeon, the Administrative Judge, Criminal and Civil Terms of Bronx County.
Thank you very much, Deputy President Green. Mr. President, Madam Speaker, the dear members of our delegation here in the Bronx, would you raise your right hand and please repeat after me? I do solemnly swear that I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of New York, the Charter of the City of New York, and faithfully discharge the duties of member of the New York City Council to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations. Mr. President, would you raise your right hand and place your left hand on the Bible? I, Ruben Diaz, Jr.
I, Ruben Diaz, Jr.
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I shall support
that I shall support
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of New York,
and the Charter of the City of New York,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties
of
Bronx Borough President
of Bronx Borough President
of the City of New York
of the City of New York
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, Justice McKeon, and thank you to the City Council delegation for participating in this historical event. And now to offer brief remarks on this joyous occasion. It is my honor, it is my pleasure to bring to the podium my partner in Borough Hall and our leader in the new Bronx, our Borough President, Ruben Diaz, Jr.
Thank you. Thank you. You can have a seat, please. Have a seat. First, let me begin by thanking, like she said, my partner here at Borough Hall. She's been an amazing Deputy Borough President, but more importantly, she's been a wonderful friend and a great advisor. Our Deputy Borough President, Aurelia Green. Let's give her a strong round of applause. I also want to thank all of my colleagues in government who are with me here today. Gail Brewer, who had to leave. There's the Queens Borough President is being sworn in tonight as well, so that's why the Speaker had to leave and the Mayor. I also want to congratulate and thank my partners in city government here in the Bronx, the Bronx delegation. Aren't they wonderful? Give them a strong round of applause. They're great. They're great. We're going to do wonderful things together. And it's always good that less than a week and a half in office, you get the mayor of the city of New York right here at Borough Hall in God's country in the borough of the Bronx. And so to Mayor de Blasio, I just want to thank him for being with us here today, but also ensuring that the Bronx is going to be part of his agenda as he moves forward. It's always great to have a friend, and I've never experienced this, but to have a real friend at City Hall. Mayor de Blasio, thank you for that. I want to take some time to acknowledge my family. My nephew, Billy Kiley, who's here today, my niece, Natalie, who's here, my sister, who is, I'm not going to say how old, but it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Damaris. He's been mentioned as the state senator, but ladies and gentlemen, that's my dad, Reverend Diaz. These two young men that once upon a time we had to hold them on our arms when I first got sworn in for the New York State Assembly, but look how big they are now. My sons, Ryan and Ruben Diaz III. And, you know, a lot of people talk about papi, but mommy's the one who does all the work. So, mami, te quiero de gratis, mami, te bendición. In his typical fashion, he's not sitting with the family. He's right over there hiding, but I won't let him hide. That's my big brother right there, Sammy Diaz. And then, of course, the First Lady of the Bronx, who surprised me here today. I thought she wasn't going to be able to get the day off from work. But nonetheless, she is the person who allows me to do what I need to do here in the borough. She's beautiful. She's intelligent. She's my partner. She's my friend. She's my wife. She held the Bible here today. Honey, thank you. Love you very much. Good evening and welcome. And as we kick off the official 2014 Centennial celebrations, before we begin in earnest, again, let me just thank my colleagues in government, the New York City Council delegation, for participating in this historic reenactment of the first Bronx swearing-in ceremony back in 1914. I also like to thank our judge, the Honorable Douglas McKeon, for administering the oath of office in this evening. Thank you, Judge. I'm appreciative of the work of the members of our Bronx Centennial Commission, chaired by none other than number 11, Fernando Ferrer. For those of you who are members of the Centennial Commission, could you please stand? Those of you who are here who are members of the commission. Let's give them a strong round of applause. They've been working really hard, and if any of you would like to join them in that hard work, please reach out to us. Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, in 1914, 100 years ago, Charlie Chaplin made his film debut. President Woodrow Wilson declared Mother's Day an official holiday. And the nations of the world were in the midst of what was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Here in the Bronx, Borough President Douglas Mathewson helped oversee the ongoing construction of a new armory, believe it or not, on Kingsbridge Road. Our former courthouse in Melrose was nearing completion, and John Ferris's home sat overlooking Westchester Creek. Now you fast forward 100 years later, here in 2014, the Kingsbridge Armory has been approved to become perhaps the greatest ice sports center in the world. As Lloyd Alton said earlier, we sit not in that one, but in another courthouse celebrating our shared history, and we swear the oath of office on the Ferris Family Bible. My gratitude goes out to the Bronx County Historical Society for allowing us to use that Bible here today, and of course, Lloyd Alton. Let's give them a strong round of applause. The Ferris Family Bible is a strong link to our borough's heritage, and today's event is much about where we have been as it is where we are going. And boy, we are going places, aren't we? In the last 4 years alone, we've seen hundreds of millions of dollars in housing development and thousands of new jobs come to our borough. We've seen major figures and personalities put their money into the Bronx, be it the PGA-style golf course built by Donald Trump, the aforementioned Ice Center, which is guided by Mark Messier and Sarah Hughes, and Tommy Hilfiger's major investment in the Carrie Leeds Tennis Center at Crotona Park. And just yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, if you were paying attention, Governor Cuomo himself announced that he supports our plan to bring Metro North service to the East Bronx. This is a major victory for our borough, and we owe the governor our gratitude for his strong support. Let's give the governor a strong round of applause for that. So many great things are happening right here, and the world is taking notice. In the last year, my office has received inquiries from media from all over the world, in the Middle East, in Europe and Asia, looking to hear the new story of the Bronx. We've hosted elected officials and business leaders from every corner of the globe, smart men and women who are looking to expand their reach to our borders, including a delegation from the Dominican Republic, members of the German Parliament, and yes, even Queen Sofia of Spain. People are paying attention to what is happening here. In fact, as it was mentioned earlier, tonight the Empire State Building is lit up blue, orange, and white, the Bronx colors, to celebrate this auspicious occasion. And what could be more of an honor than to have our borough celebrated at the very top of the greatest city in the world? We have a lot to celebrate, ladies and gentlemen. In 2012, we had the lowest crime rate that our borough has seen since the 1960s. And last year's numbers were even better. Innovative projects are happening here in the Bronx. We are seeing unprecedented new investment in our borough, the likes of which we have not seen in decades. And that success is in no small part to the efforts of those of you who are here tonight and the countless others, the thousands of others who could not be with us here today. There is a plaque outside of the wall which was installed to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of the Bronx 50 years ago. Tonight, thanks to the generosity of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, we will unveil a new plaque stating the total land value of the Bronx today of more than $20 billion, up from about $660 million back in 1914. And that's the plaque right there. With the members of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce who are here today, Joe Kelleher, the members of the Bronx Chamber of Commerce, could you please stand up and be acknowledged? Let's give them a strong round of applause for their generosity. Now look at that. Look at how far we've come. Look at how much growth we have seen. We believe that our borough has so much potential. We believe that our borough offers so much opportunity. We believe that the people of our borough are proud of where they are and where they're from, and they want the Bronx to become even better so that people can live here, work here, and raise their family. On top of that plaque, there's a line that sums up everything that we've been doing for the last 4 years and everything we will do for the next 4 years and beyond. That line reads, "Building a new Bronx together." And we are building a new Bronx. We see it all around us. But I can't do it by myself. That is why I lean so much on all of you for your support, your ideas, and for your advice. The last 100 years have seen major changes in the Bronx on all fronts, demographically, culturally, economically. We are one of the most diverse places in the world, and here in the Bronx, we embrace that diversity. The Bronx is constantly changing and constantly evolving. As we look back to the past, let us reflect on the first 100 years of Bronx County. But we must also be mindful of the future and where the next 100 years will take us. We are creating jobs, we're building our infrastructure, we're making the most of the new investment that is coming to the Bronx, and we have a lot of work to do, of course. But we are meeting those challenges head on, and the fruits of our labor can be seen in every corner of this county. But tonight is not about us dwelling on our challenges. Tonight is a night to celebrate our centennial, our first 100 years, and to reflect on everything that is great about our hometown, the beautiful borough of the Bronx. Thank you all for being here. God bless you. God bless the borough of the Bronx, and let us celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borough President. And that concludes our program for this evening. We invite you to join us in the back. We have a reception back there for everyone who's here. Have a wonderful year. Thank you.